Hello and welcome to Theta Sigma's Doctor Who podcast number 46. In this week's show, feedback and a religious order with a difference.
Come here, you scrumptious little beauty. A box?
Doctor, what is it?
I've got mail.
Daniel Ryder was the first to leave feedback this week, saying of the silence, "Alright, the silence. I like them. Moffat really does come up with some good creepy monsters. I've never heard anyone else say this, but I've always felt that the Silents were cut from the same basic cloth as the Weeping Angels. Like the Angels, the Silents have the creepy habit of being seen a way away, then suddenly being right in your face. They're also a complex idea. Weeping Angels can only move when you don't look at them. Silents can only be remembered when you do look at them. It's like Moffat thought, hey, how can I do something cool like the Weeping Angels again and still make them different? Oh yeah, I can just take their basic description, throw in a different Mad Libs verb and change don't to do. Voila! However he thought of them, the Silents are cool. I'm not sure about their mission on Earth made a whole lot of sense, but they themselves are cool. Thanks for that, Daniel. Brett Allen Jones was next, and he said this. Kind of like with the Weeping Angels, the Silents are cool, creepy characters, but the stories get a little more convoluted and confusing each time they're shown. Even though it seems like you're not supposed to be able to remember them once you turn away, the way that different characters react at different moments sometimes contradict each other. Thanks for your feedback, both of you. And if you have any feedback on the show, be it on topic or off, I'd love to hear from you at respectthething@outlook.com. That's respectthething@outlook.com. Or you can post your feedback on Theta Sigma's Doctor Who podcast on Facebook. And now it's on to the unexplained ominous phrase "silence will fall" recurs throughout Series 5. The plot thread is left open in the series finale The Big Bang, where the force responsible for the TARDIS's destruction is left unidentified. The Silents are then introduced as a species rather than an event in the two-part premiere for Season 6. But just what are the Silents? Well, they're a religious order, represented by humanoids with alien-like physical characteristics. Executive producer Stephen Moffat created the Silents intending them to be scarier than past villains in Doctor Who. Though the phrase "silence will fall" recurred throughout the 2010 series, the Silents themselves are not seen until the 2011 series opener, The Impossible Astronaut. Their origins are eventually revealed in the 2013 Christmas special, The Time of the Doctor. In creating the Silents shown in The Impossible Astronaut, Moffat drew inspiration from Edvard Munch's famous 1893 expressionist painting The Scream, as well as Men in Black, but more of that later on. The Silence continues Moffat's trend of using simple psychological concepts to make his monsters more frightening. In the case of the Silence, their existence is a secret, because anyone who sees them immediately forgets about them after looking away, but retains suggestions made to them by the Silence. This allows the silence to have a persuasive influence across human history, while being both difficult to locate and resist. Moffat created the silence suggesting their level of scariness would compare with other Doctor Who adversaries from previous episodes. Matt Smith called them the scariest monsters in the show's history, and Karen Gillan commented that the silence could actually rival the Weeping Angels in terms of scariness. The silence shown in The Impossible Astronaut are depicted as tall humanoids with bulbous heads and mouthless, bony faces. Their eyes are sunken within their sockets, and the skin of their cheeks stretches to the point of their narrow chins. Their large shriveled hands resemble a human hand, except where the ring and middle fingers would normally be, and that's a large flipper-like single finger. They speak in low guttural voices, although they have no apparent mouths. Aliens affiliated with the silence have been dressed in black business suits with an unusual wet-looking texture. According to Stephen Moffat, their resemblance to monks the Scream is not coincidental. Although humans are not consciously aware of their existence, a subconscious awareness of the silence manifests in such works. They're also partly inspired by mythological figures known as Men in Black that became popular amongst UFO conspiracy theorists during the 1950s and 60s. Reviewers have noted that in creating the silence seen in The Impossible Astronaut, Moffat again uses a psychological gimmick. The silence are perceived only while being watched, and are instantly forgotten once the viewer looks away. To keep track of their encounters with the silence, the Doctor and his friends mark tallies on their bodies, or use audio recorder devices embedded in their hands to let them know if they've seen them. These silence also use an energy discharge from their hands to displace someone, leaving behind only debris. While absorbing and discharging this energy, a depression appears where the mouth would have been. The silence are formally introduced in The Impossible Astronaut and Day of the Moon two-parter. One of the silence observes the death of a future Doctor in Utah. Soon after, and unaware that River, Amy and Rory have met his future self and witnessed his death, the Doctor takes them to 1969, where they confront the silence as they manipulate the US government. By recording one of the silence saying, "You should kill us on sight," on a videophone, which the Doctor broadcasts during the Apollo 11 moon landing, Earth's population is conditioned to kill all silence, although of course they won't remember doing it. In the process, the Doctor's group meets a mysterious girl in the same astronaut suit as the assailant who kills his future self. Later in the series, this girl is revealed to be Amy and Rory's daughter, Melody Pond, who is also a young River Song. She is kidnapped as a baby in A Good Man Goes to War by Madame Kovarian in order to become a weapon against the Doctor, her Time Lord-like genetic traits making her an ideal candidate to kill the Doctor. Let's Kill Hitler establishes that the apparent religious order of the silence and its Academy of the Question has brainwashed River to do this, although she goes against her programming and saves the Doctor's life. After biding their time until the conditions were right, Kovarian and the Silence kidnap River in closing time and force her to enact her role in the Doctor's death at Lake Silencio, as seen in The Impossible Astronaut. In The Wedding of River Song, many Silence appear in a parallel universe caused by River not shooting the Doctor. The eye patches worn by Madame Kovarian and others are revealed to be eye drives or external memory units, permitting associates of the Silence not only to perceive them but to remember them as well. The Silence reveal, however, that they have the power to remotely kill those wearing the devices, and as such they betray Kovarian by killing her. The Doctor also learns why they want to kill him: to prevent a predestined event where he will be forced to answer the oldest question in the universe, a terrible secret that he knows, after which Silence must fall. Though the Doctor's death at Lake Silencio was thought to be a fixed point of history, it turns out he faked his death, with River imprisoned, so that the Silence will believe him to be dead. The Silence origins are revealed in Time of the Doctor in 2013. They're genetically modified priests belonging to the Church of the Papal Mainframe. Their original purpose was to force penitents to confess their sins before they could forget their confessions immediately after giving them. Confused? I am. During the hundreds of years of stalemate above the planet Trenzalore, where the Doctor refused to give his name lest he unleash the full horrors of a renewed time war on the universe, the papal mainframe became known as the Church of the Silence, making the Doctor's continued silence its primary mission. During this period, the Kavarian chapter of the Church is said to have split off and attempted to destroy the Doctor earlier in his timeline, as depicted in the events of Series 5 and 6. The actions of this splinter group ultimately lead to the appearance of cracks in the universe which brought the Church to Trenzalore in the first place. When the stalemate ends and Trenzalore is plunged into battle, the remaining Silence, still loyal to the papal mainframe, fight alongside the Doctor to protect the planet's inhabitants from invading Daleks.
Oh, goodbye, my dear chap. I must say I've had the time of my lives.
And that's all we have time for this week. Thanks for listening, and if you have any observations on this week's show or the Silence, do drop me a line at respectthething@outlook.com, or you can post your thoughts on Theta Sigma's Doctor Who podcast on Facebook. This week's shout-out, and yes, I'm thinking of making the shout-out a regular feature, so if you'd like to be given a mention on the show, do drop me a line and let me know. But for this week, I'm shouting out the Facebook page We Don't Care What You Think, Doctor Who is Epic, and the regular videos that Tom and Amber put out on there. If you've not yet gone over there and liked this amazing page or watched the videos, let me highly recommend them to you. They're absolutely brilliant and the hosts are amazing together. So until next time, when I'll be reviewing the Big Finish audio adventures, the Dalek Contract, and the final phase. Thank you for listening to Theta Sigma's Doctor Who podcast. Doctor Who and its associated shows are all copyright and property of the BBC, and no infringement is intended.